The movie starts at the annual United Nations Global Warming Conference in New Delhi, where paleoclimatologist Jack Hall is giving a speech. He warns the delegates that the Earth is soon going to face a polar catastrophe, which will turn everything into ice. Some of the delegates ask when the time will be. Jack says it could be a few centuries, but if people don't reduce the use of fossil fuel, their grandchildren will suffer. After the conference, Jack meets a representative from the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, Terry Rapson, and the duo begin chatting about their respective findings. As they talk, it snows heavily, suggesting that climate change has already started. Over the course of the next few weeks, strange weather conditions strike different parts of the world. In Japan, monstrous blocks of hailstones start falling from the sky, leaving several people dead. Such hailstones are the largest that have ever been recorded in history. At the monitoring station of Terry Rapson in Scotland, the computers show that sections of the ocean are experiencing huge temperature decline. The falls are so abrupt and enigmatic that the messages set there have been frozen in place. At the International Space Station, astronauts see gigantic storms forming in the Earth's troposphere elsewhere. In the next scene, we are taken to Washington, D.C., where Jack is dropping his son, Sam, to the airport. Sam is a genius student who has been invited to participate in a decathlon in New York. Though his father is a well-known man, Sam appears to be angry with him, as Jack has always been absent from his life due to his busy work schedule. Nonetheless, he assures Sam that once he retires, he will have all the time for his family. Later, when Sam, along with his best friends, Laura and Brian, arrive at New York, they notice a large flock of birds flying towards the west, as if they are trying to escape something. In the meantime, Terry calls Jack from his monitoring station and informs him about his finding. He says that the polar catastrophe is approaching them rapidly, and that they have no time to escape it. Jack asks if it's bad, and Terry says that something like this has not occurred in the past 10,000 years. After that, we go to a weather monitoring station in California, where a tech is having fun with his girlfriend. Suddenly, he hears a man's distress call, who tells him that it is raining hailstones in LA. Hearing this, the technician turns on the television and gets taken aback to see that hailstones the size of golf balls have ravaged parts of LA. He immediately calls his boss and tells him to issue a tornado warning in the state of California. However, it's too late. Soon, multiple massive tornadoes swirl around the city, wreaking havoc on all that they touch. For this reason, an emergency meeting takes place at the Office of Global Change in Washington, D.C. One of the participants mentions the other weather events that have been destructive in other parts of the world and says that something has gone wrong. Just then, Jack, who is also among the attendees, reveals to the crowd that everything is happening due to the North Atlantic currents. The currents are brought upon by the rapidly melting polar ice, which in turn is caused by global warming. He also says that it is just the start, and in a few days the weather will get worse. In the next scene, Jack meets with the vice president and tries to make him understand that the situation is very critical. He says the polar blast might strike at any time soon, and mass evacuations are needed in the northern states. The VP, however, doesn't listen to him and leaves. In other parts of the UK, it has begun to snow at a fast pace, and 3 helicopters are dispatched to the Royal Palace to pick up the Queen. But on their journey, they go through the eye of the storm, and their instruments freeze on the spot. In no time, the chopper blades also stop working, and all the 3 helicopters crash to the ground. One pilot survives the crash, but as soon as he opens the door, he is frozen to death. Back to Manhattan, Sam and his friends try to get back to DC, but all the transport services have been derailed by the heavy downpour. The 3, desperate to get out of the city, walk to the streets, where the city is in utter chaos. Suddenly, a huge tsunami emerges and starts to engulf the area. The skyscrapers, and even the Statue of Liberty, is engulfed, as if they are nothing. Sam and his team realize that there is a danger, and they run to the National Library Hall for safety. Unfortunately, thousands of people are washed away and die. Not so lucky. Later, Terry calls Jack and informs him about the freezing air over Europe, which brought down the helicopters. This alarms Jack, and after a bit of research, he finds out that the storm is approaching the US sooner than usual. In fact, they have just 48 hours before everything freezes over. Following this, he opens the weather prediction, which shows that 3 colossal weather systems are forming in different parts of the world. They are growing bigger every day, and in Europe, the polar state has already started. In the meantime, Sam is desperately looking for a telephone in the library, which has no mobile phone reception. After a while, he descends to another floor and finds a telephone, which is almost submerged inside water. Desperate to call his parents, he swims to the place and finally makes a call. Jack is delighted to find that his son is alive and starts giving him instructions. He tells Sam that he must stay indoors and wait for the storm to pass. If he ventures outside, he is going to freeze to death instantly. Hearing this, Sam becomes worried, but Jack consoles him by saying that he will come to rescue him soon. The next day, as everyone in the library is gathering clothes and rations, they hear a strange noise from outside. They peer through the window and are astonished to see a cargo ship sailing through the area. Elsewhere in DC, the head of the state is having a meeting, and Jack is tasked with briefing the state of the situation. Before even beginning, he instills fear in everyone by mentioning that the worst is yet to come. He then proposes the evacuation of the residents of the southern states and their transportation to Mexico. Again, the vice president is not in favor of the concept, saying it is not possible to evaluate on such a scale. He also asks what will happen to the residents of the north, to which Jack replies that it's too late for them. They will freeze to death if they leave their homes. All they can do is remain in their homes and wait for the storm to pass. The president does what Jack tells him to do and sends the National Guard south to evaluate the rest of the population. In New York, the people inside the library see a group of people walking on the frozen land and deduce that they are heading to the warmer states. As a result, they also decide to venture outside before the snow gets deeper. Sam, who is aware of the danger, attempts to alert everyone that it's a death mission, but no one listens to him. Soon, everyone leaves the library, with the exception of Sam's group and a few other people. Meanwhile, Jack starts his trip to New York, along with his colleagues and best buddies, Frank and Jason. The three have been to the Arctic a number of times for research and are used to the weather. Sam and his group return to the library and search the entire library for food and find vending machine. They also collect some books to burn in the fireplace. Meanwhile, Jack and his crew are on the road through the dense snow when they come across a roadblock and must hike the rest of the way. They walk for a few hours with utmost dedication, but unfortunately, when they reach on top of a fragile building, Frank breaks the glass and falls in. He is being held by the lifeline and the two friends are holding him up, but at that moment, the glass begins to crack. So, he has no other option but to cut his lifeline and sacrifice himself for his friends to further their mission. At the library, Laura suddenly gets a fever and falls unconscious. The group becomes concerned and begins to look for the cause, and finds that she has a wound in her leg that could have led to blood poisoning. One of the ladies in the group, who is a doctor by profession, says that Laura has to be given an injection of penicillin or else she will have to be amputated. Sam is desperate to save his friend and decides to go into the nearby cargo ship in the hope that it has some medicine. Brian and another guy, JD, also want to go with him as he is about to leave. In the next scene, the VP, who is now stationed in a military base, finds out that the president met with an accident and died while being evaluated. To make matters worse, the researchers also find out that the eye of the storm has shifted its course to New York City. Meanwhile, Jack and Jason are making their way slowly towards their destination, but sadly, Jason collapses due to exhaustion. This means that Jack has to carry his friend. In the library, the three of them finally set out and find the cargo ship. However, along the way, their scent is caught by a pack of hungry wolves, who have broken out from the nearby zoo. Sam, Brain, and JD enter the cargo ship's kitchen and find some penicillin. They then look around the place for some more supplies, but suddenly, they are attacked by the pack of wolves. Sam and Brian manage to escape to another room, but JD is severely bitten. However, they are able to save him from the hungry beasts. As the three brainstorms different ideas to escape the situation, Sam looks outside and sees the skies clearing. He then realizes that the eye of the storm is nearing them, and that they don't have enough time left. Hence, he puts himself in harm's way and makes his way outside to lure the wolves away from the kitchen. Then he runs through the abandoned ship, narrowly escaping the wolves. After a while, he catches up with his friends, but by this time, JD is unable to stand. So Sam and Brian take their friend to the library on a sledge. However, while Jack is pulling Jason through the deep snow, he also sees the eye moving quickly towards them. He doesn't waste any time and begins to look for any houses in the snow. Fortunately, he finds an open vent and throws Jason in, before getting in himself. As soon as he closes the door, the frost attacks the place and freezes everything that it touches. The boys also arrive at the library on time, and barely escape death. Then they climb to maintain the fire, for it is the only thing that will keep them warm enough to survive the harsh winter. Jack also desperately tries to light a fire, and manages to do so with an open stove. A few minutes later, Jason awakens and realizes that the whole area is filled with ice. Now that the eye of the storm is past, Jack is going to take up his mission again. Jason attempts to explain to him that it is still dangerous outside, but Jack says that he doesn't have enough time left. The two spend that night in a tent, thinking about the future of mankind. Jack has mentioned several times that humans have survived the Ice Age before, but if they're not careful, they could die out in this one. Finally, after weeks of disastrous weather conditions, the International Space Station spots some good sign. They notice that the storm is dissipating in Europe, as they see landmass for the first time in several weeks. At the same time, Jack also gets out of the tent and sees that the skies have cleared. It's also been a sunny day. After walking for a while, the two come across the frozen Statue of Liberty and several ships which have sunk into the ice. They have finally reached Manhattan after enduring days of excruciating pain and suffering. But after finding the exact spot of the library with the aid of a GPS, they are devastated to find that it has been swallowed by ice. All hope is now lost, and the two are ready to leave when they see a small gap in the snow. Wasting no time, Jack enters the library through the opening, and Jason follows him closely. The two then begin looking for Sam and fortunately, after a bit of looking around, find him. It turns out that Sam and his group are still alive because of the fire. With this, the father-son duo finally meet after weeks of separation, amidst the terrifying weather condition. The scene then switches to Mexico and the new president is told that there are survivors in New York. He is thrilled about the news and tells the TV audience that he will be launching a large-scale rescue mission to bring back anyone who is stuck in the northern states. The choppers make it to Manhattan in the end of the film, where several people survive. They have been huddled together on the rooftops awaiting rescue. The helicopters also arrive at Jack and his group, who are finally brought to the south. The movie ends as an astronaut from the International Space Station gazes at the Earth and remarks that it is the clearest sky that he has ever seen. Subscribe to watch more videos like this, leave a comment about your favorite movie, and we will make it next. Thanks for watching.